So now when we're talking about very much complex organisms, such as, for example, humans, animals, we will see that cells in the multicellular organelles, such as humans, organize together in different tissue types. So cells organize in the tissue. So this is like a next level of the organization of the body now we will talking about. And in different tissue, it means that we have in here example of the epithelial tissue, muscular tissue, connective tissue, nervous tissue, and blood in here. So all these different tissue types we can say. And we can see that in the epithelial tissue, if we look on the high magnification, we will see the cells in here in this epithelial tissue. They looking all the same, like this, very flat in here cells with nucleus, one large nucleus in here. Then we can see the other type of the epithelial tissue. Again, they all look similar in here. And they have one nucleus, and even they have special in here cilia on the top. Or the other epithelial tissue could be completely cuboidal cells. And these cells will have all nucleus in here. So this is all a different example of the epithelial tissue. But what we can see similarity in here, that different type of the tissue, they made up of the similar cells. So for example, this is particular type of the tissue called squamous epithelial tissue. And we can see that all cells look similar, very flat, with one large nucleus in here. But if we compare this to the other tissue type, like muscle tissue, we will see each cell very long in here. In this case, very long cells, but they're all same looking. And this type of the cells have multiple nuclei. Not one nucleus, several nuclei per one cell. So again, for the muscle cells, this is what typical. Yes, this is particular skeleton muscle tissue, how they made up. So again, if we look on the nervous, for example, tissue, we can see different cells very with long these processes and inside this nucleus. So again, if we compare a different tissue type, we will see that each individual tissue type made up of the similar cells. And because structure and function is connected, so it means different cells in the different tissue type, they organize together to perform some kind of special function. For example, this structure of the muscle cells is designed to contract and to move our bones. In this case, because it's a skeleton muscle, it's attached to our skeleton, to the bones. So, but epithelial tissue, for example, this squamous epithelial, they're very flat, and this is how our skin looking, and this is a little bit more for protection. So bacteria, for example, cannot easily penetrate through our skin into the underlying tissue. So all different type in here of the tissue types made up of the similar cells, and these cells organize in the tissue to perform specialized function. So this is show our other levels of organization of the body. So again, cells will be organized together in the tissue. Then tissues will make organs. And organs organize in the organ system. And different organ system made our organisms. So in here we will look on the chimpanzee, and we will see in here how it's done. So we have in here muscle cell, We have neurons, a cell of the nervous tissue in here show, and we have one epithelial cells, and we have fibroblast, connective tissue. So in here shows these different cells, they organize in the tissues, next level. And we can see that all in the muscle tissue, we see all cells similar, the same. And in the nervous tissue, again, all cells similar, they're all neurons in here. In the epithelial tissue, all cells again similar in here, we can see. Now, this is a fibroblast, it's a cell of the connective tissue, and in here we see several of these fibroblasts in here showing in the connective tissue. So then these different tissue types, they all organize in special kind of layers usually, and this is what they will make. They will make organs. In this case, it shows kidneys. Kidneys is an organ. And kidneys or organs will be organized in the organ system. And in this case, we have kidneys, we have urinary bladder, urethra, and ureters. So this is all part of the urinary system. And different organ system, including urinary system, what's shown in here, together with other organ systems, they will make whole organism. So this is what you need to know, this level of the organization of the complex animal bodies, for example. Okay, so now we will talk about plants. So what's special about plants? They have special organelles, what animal cells do not have. And one example of this, we already talked about this previously when we talk about osmosis, is the cell wall. Cell wall. This is very strong, very rigid organelle. So in here show example of the plant cell, and it's eukaryotic cells. It means they will have nucleus with DNA in here inside, bound by the membrane. We will have endoplasmic reticulum in here, surrounded by the membrane. We have Golgi, it will be bound by the membrane. We have mitochondria in here, they will be bound by the membranes also. And we have large vacuole in here, central vacuole, and it also will be bound by the membrane. And we will have chloroplast, very unique structure for the plants, green plants in here, and they will be bound by the again membrane. So this is the eukaryotic cells again. So cell walls also could be present in some bacteria and fungi. And cell walls is again very strong. It's protect organisms from the harsh environment, outside environment. Cell wall is rigid and made up of the polysaccharides lying outside of the plasma membrane. So in here, this is the plasma membrane. Let me make it blue. This is the plasma membrane. So cell wall on the outside, it's more additional protection. What we will have in here, the plant cells. And some algae and higher plants, cell walls could be mainly made up of the cellulose. So it could be variety from what exactly it will be components made up cell wall. Under the light microscope, this is how cell walls will be looking. This is outside part kind of. We cannot see very clear under the light microscope. It's not very powerful enough to see plasma membrane, but we will clearly see very rigid and strong cell wall around each cell, and this is a nucleus show. This is not stain all organelles in here, and they're not very clear visible, but cell wall and nucleus usually very clear always you can see in the plant cell. It's typical visible. Chloroplast, again, very unique organelle, and it's present in the photosynthetic eukaryotes, plants. They use photosynthesis, photo means light, synthesis to produce. So they use this to produce energy usually, this organism like plants. They use to produce carbohydrates and energy. And during process called photosynthesis, so they use photons, light from the sun, to synthesize, to produce energy, to produce carbohydrates. And it's occur in the special cellular organelle which call chloroplast. And in here, light microscopy, again, we can see very clear, this is the cell wall. But this is, let me make it blue, round structure, very green. So this is, there will be chloroplast. Chloroplast, several in each cell, several in here chloroplast show. And if we look on the structure of the chloroplast in here, we will see that this is again like this oval organelle, and it have membrane outside, but it also will have membrane which organize in these stacks kind of and connected with each other. This like stack of the coins kind of looking structure with connection between these stacks of the coins. So this is we'll call thylakoids. So all these thylakoids. And thylakoids, again, they all surround, this is all surrounding is membrane. And membrane usually used in the cell for location, for attachment of the different enzymes. So all these membranes for one particular purpose. So in here could be inside of these membranes will be embedded in the order special enzymes, proteins. And these enzymes perform different chemical reactions, one of which will be to capture photons from the light to initiate different chemical reactions and perform this is production of the energy and synthesis of the carbohydrates. So all this is happening in here. And this chloroplast, they green, what we see with our eyes, because inside they have specialized pigment. It's called chlorophyll. And when light hit it, it reflects green light. This is why we see that our plants, photosynthetic plants, they are green. Next, very specialized cellular organelles for the plant cells. So this is very large, usually structure, which is bound with membrane. So this is cellular organelle in the plants, and it's called central vacuole, central vacuole. And here we can see it in the electron, under the electron microscope. This is why it looks like empty structure. This is the central vacuole. And what inside of it? We will have water with different dissolved sugars, pigment, other dissolved nutrients and molecules. And mostly function of the central vacuole to store water and food molecules. The other important function is to maintain pressure inside of each cells in the plant, and because of this pressure, it's help plants to stay upright. So usually plants stand like this, yes, with their leaves. But if you, for example, do not water your plants for the few days, what happening? It all will be bended down because they will lose this is water and pressure in here from the vacuole, central vacuole, and this is why they cannot anymore stay upright. without water. They're losing this water. It's evaporate all the time. So this is the other important function of the central vacuole.